I want you guys to know something. 1990, North Pole. Right? 1990, North Pole. Moving at about a very slow rate in the 90s. Very, very slow rate, very consistent rate. But that began to change. The North Pole, as it moves, satellites, GPS satellites have to be adjusted as it moves. When GPS came out, they were adjusting GPS systems probably about, I'm going to give an estimate. I have the readings on the other ones, but back in the 90s when it first came out, actually it was before then, but their adjustments were every few years. They had to make some adjustments. That changed. In fact, the frequency of adjustment became more and more because the North Pole was moving far too much. Right? We all know that. We can see that in the weather. How the weather is right now, we can see how it's affecting everything. But it wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't that bad. So as they adjusted satellites probably about, because 1990, the North Pole was moving about 9 miles per year. That's not too much. 9 miles per year. Right? 2000 comes. Those adjustments, they really wreaked havoc on GPS satellites. In fact, in 2020, right? In 1990, it was 9 miles per year. 2020, it was 40 miles per year. The North Pole went from moving 9 miles per year in 1990 to moving 40 miles per year in 2020. See an increase? Yes. GPS systems were updated probably about every 5 years because of the movement of the North Pole. 2020 GPS systems were updated every 5 months. So it went from 5 years to 5 months, the updates, or the adjustments in GPS. 2024, that number is outrageous. It is outrageous. The absolutes on what they have to adjust is mind-boggling, right? So we have an exponential increase in the pole's movement. Also, at the exact same time in 1990, our magnetosphere, right, the magnetic shielding around the Earth was at a specific rate. In keeping with the change that we see happening, the field is weakened enormously, and it will continue to weaken. It seems like it's keeping track with the movement of the North. Now, this has happened before. This means that animals are going to lose their migration habits. They will end up in the wrong places. We are undergoing this right now. Right? And it used to be thought that, I remember somebody saying back in 2015, you know, if magnetic north and south change, no big deal. That was a general consensus. That's not the consensus now. Now they have a better understanding of what's taking place and what happened in times past. When the magnetic field becomes chaotic, which is what's happening now, it diminishes, and then it turns into spaghetti. And then it will realign itself. But in that realignment, it goes away almost totally. All the radiation from the sun penetrates the atmosphere. Now, at first, the atmosphere absorbs the heat from the sun. We see that happening right now. We're undergoing this process right now, as we speak, right now. Right? What we're seeing is a type of atmosphere compression with particulate injection into the upper atmosphere with a diminishing magnetosphere. Boy, oh boy, it's going to get rough. This change in the poles magnetically causes a physical change in the planet, right? Plus, it causes great or bigger earthquakes. Now, you guys do understand that the last 8 big earthquakes have shifted the axis of the earth. You guys do understand that, right? They thought that to be impossible. But when the Fukushima earthquake hit, that shifted the axis. Those 2 earthquakes in Haiti and Peru, that shifted, or Chile, that shifted the axis. So these big earthquakes are shifting the axis of the earth physically. And they're going to cause this flipping of the poles magnetically of the earth, right, to cause an even bigger wobble, which is going to affect the equator, naturally. Because if we start shifting, if our poles continue to shift, the equator will realign itself with the sun, essentially. And the rotation of the earth is going to be chaotic as it wobbles, which means the equator will stretch in a way. You have to see it by graphic, right, so that you will understand, because it's going to be chaotic. It is said now that it's going to reach all the way to the Great Lakes, into portions of Canada. It won't maintain itself there. In other words, say, for example, the equator goes through the Great Lakes one week, through Canada the next week, through the southern half of the USA the next week. And then, of course, it repeats that cycle. This is what we're getting into. So it's going to have a wide area that it will affect. It's not going to be, clean. It's not going to be decent. It's not going to be, the equator just moves up in this organized fashion. No, it's going to be a very chaotic time. That means our weather phenomena, it'll change even more. And actually, it means we have not experienced the heavy changes. Not yet. We haven't. And of course, if Earth is being affected this way, so are the other planets. Did you know that Mars, it too, is being affected in a big way? Magnetically, Jupiter is likewise. So is Neptune. So is Mercury. Right? So we have something, these effects is happening in our solar system. We're finally being able to observe them, to see the damages they're going to cause. It's just unfortunate. We live in a time when these things are happening right now. I mean, right now, right? This will cause, NASA's going to have to make some major changes in space and the plans about space. Have you guys noticed, most of the rich are preoccupied with attempting to leave Earth? Have you noticed that? Have you noticed? There's a plan to occupy another type, rapid deployment of a station will take place. And they're trying to make it where people can actually occupy space for about 3 years. Not go to another planet necessarily, but occupy space for about 3 to 4 years, I'll say. They will attempt to escape some of these rapid changes in the earth. Of course, we know that's not going to work out too well. In the Bible, it says that though you ascend up to the heavens, I'll pull you down, the Lord said. Right? So the Lord has, already dealt with that topic. If they go down to the center of the earth, or in the earth, the Lord will get them, pull them up. If they ascend up to the, up to the heavens, He'll pull them down. So they can't, they're not going to dodge what's coming. They're not. And we're extremely close. Very close. The details that we're about to go through here in COT, sometimes they can be quite daunting, right? Details are not for everybody. So I know I'm going to break down this equator issue. I'm going to segment it so that everybody understands it. Of course, you guys will be able to review written materials about the equator as well as you'll have updates very frequently. As I said before, this is going to be a very costly event. It will be. It comes at a time when we have yet another problem in space. As well as Earth, yes, but we have another problem in space. We're entering into a trashy part of space that carries lots of debris. It's not very clean. What I mean by that is dust. Now, space, things being dusty in space, on a scale that space is, that means meteor storm. So we have to get ready for that too. That means lots of fires. We know that the surface of the earth is volatile. The fires right now that are being, that they're fighting right now, they're consuming many different places. Imagine if a meteor storm came and fire was introduced from the heavens to the earth. That would be an instant, issue that we're not capable of dealing with on a total scale. But those days are coming too. So when you guys see these details and charts and everything like that, keep your wits about you. Right? There's a timing to all of this. You're in the middle of it, yes. But there's also a timing where much worse things will take place. And of course, prophecy plays its role in these times. Now, we don't know exactly how the Lord will do it, but we do know that for his people, a way will be made. A way. A way will not be made for those who continually reject and ultimately cast down his word. Remember something in Revelation. Revelation, they had all but casted down the word of God to the ground. They had altered what the gospel was. They carried some sort of a hybrid gospel, right? Even the seat of Israel was corrupted. So that means our prayers must be expansive. We can't forget about those who did not forget about us. They truly know that schedule. But here we are. We're in that time. Right now we're in that time. And no matter who's in leadership, we have some big challenges to face. We do. We do. Big challenges. And I hope that you guys are ready for that. I know the Air Force is. I know that all the countries, as of last night, they were in panic mode. Do you guys know that? Panic mode. All the people of all of these nations have made their choice about the U.S. leadership, about U.S. leadership. They made their choice all over the globe. If done right, this could be a very good thing. If pride takes over, well, if pride steps in, I'm telling you now, there's still a way. Another candidate can come to the forefront, be elected president, that nobody ever suspected. You guys do understand how that works, don't you? I want you guys to know the truth so the rumor mill is not circulating. Do you guys understand that they did not, the Democrats did not pick a final person to be president? You know that, right? You know that's coming up. They had this debate prior to the convention on purpose so they could see they have not picked their final person. You do realize they could pick somebody else. You do realize that for the sake of the nation, the president can step aside. You also, do you understand that Jill and Biden have often done things for the sake of the nation? He could step aside and somebody else could step forward. If you think what's happening is going to work out to be a good thing, you're wrong. It's starting a war. Do you hear me? So let me give you an example of this. Because I know it sounds good, but it's time that people see things for what they are. When people make Christianity a law of anything concerning faith, when they make that a law, it provokes people against Christianity. It's going to polarize any and all spirits against Christianity to form a coalition against Christianity. Christianity is about to be the number one most hated belief on the planet. In the USA. In the USA, do you hear me? Now you will see darkness rise. I wish that people would pay attention. It's not going to stop. We will have something about, I'll say about 12 times worse than 9/11. It's coming. Get yourselves ready. They will maximize the blow to this country. This country, they're going to maximize the blow. But you guys know something. And this is true, it doesn't matter where you are. It does not matter what your conditions are. And I'm only saying this because I've been through this over and over again. When the onslaught of the enemy is at its heaviest, regardless of what the conditions are, realize at that moment that your relationship with the Lord is your saving grace. It is the only thing you will have left in most cases. The Lord is present in those times. Even in those times where he's the only thing we have left. Isn't that something? You're okay, Kennedy. But even in those times where the Lord is your last resort, do you not know that he loves you without end? And that he'll show up on the scene. Do you know that? Do you guys know that? I've been in that position where I was not thinking about the Lord until the trouble came. And when the trouble came, it had overwhelmed everybody. And there was no choice but to call out on his name. He was right there. He was right there. Isn't that something? You know what that means? For any of you out there that have truly chosen Christ, which means you truly accepted what he did at the cross, do you not know he'll never abandon you no matter what? So long as you truly believe in him, he'll never abandon you. Never. During the hardest times in your life, he'll be there. He'll be there at that time. All too often, just like the scripture says, he'll supply all of our needs according to his riches and glory. Well, we're just like babies. We know that we need. All too often, we don't know what we need. The Lord knows what we need. And he will supply those needs according to his riches and glory. So long as you believe in him. He's got you. Remember that, no matter how hard things get. You guys remember that? And because you believe in the Lord, then all things are purposed in your life for your growth and for your freedom. Not for punishment, not for bondage, but for your growth, your freedom, your absolute deliverance. Please remember that. Please remember that and understand that by your readings in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because this world is going to attempt to redefine who Jesus is. God bless you guys so much. I'm going to see you guys next time right here at the Council of Time.